So this week has been frightfully busy, really busy, and it's been my first week on holiday. This was the 2 weeks holiday that I booked initially to go to the US for the third American Dreams tour to celebrate my 30th birthday. Now that fell on hard times when there was no inheritance money to do it, so I would have to fund it myself. And when the Markenfield, the Jennyfield settlement started up, we decided that we'd cancel that altogether. So I've been off on holiday this week, but I've still had plenty to do. I'll run through the bad things first because I'll get them out of the way. In one way, this week has been incredibly hard for me because I've lost two birds. And I lost two birds since introducing them into the aviary, which was very hard. Now I just better get my dates right with this. So where are we? Yeah. So on Monday the 5th of March, the birds had been in over the weekend and they'd all seemed to have done quite well. And then I discovered Bonnie dead in the shed. Now, we don't exactly know what happened to her. What I think happened to her was that during the night when they were locked in the shed to save them from the cold, she had some sort of accident because she didn't know her surroundings very well and there was no light in the shed. That is completely my fault, and I feel terrible about it because Bonnie, of course, was the mother of all the little babies that I got, and even though I sent her to market once, I missed her so much that I had to buy her back. So in many ways, I feel really bad about it. The other thing is that on Friday the 9th of March, I lost my other bird. I lost my other Finch, Mike, the society Finch. Now Mike had a hard time anyway. He wouldn't come out of the shed for the first couple of days into the flight. I think he's always been very frightened, but the move to Markenfield and then the move out was just too much for him. Eventually he did go out into the flight, but it was only towards the end of the week, and he was found floating in his water bowl outside. Now, bear in mind that his water bowl was not deep enough for him to, he could stand in the water bowl and have his head out the top. It was not deep, and it shouldn't have been deep enough for him to drown in. I don't know if birds commit suicide or not, but I can't help thinking that he was very frightened, probably very depressed, and I don't know really what happened, but he drowned. Of course, the other possibility that has crossed my mind is that Jojo the canary has murdered them both. I don't think so, because I've seen nothing in the times that I was out there that the three didn't get along, particularly as canaries and finches are supposed to get along. I saw no indication of that. There was no feathers lying around. There not seemed to be a struggle. So those were both given the water burial at Scotton Mill, obviously, and that did make this past week a little bit sad. So I'm now on the lookout for getting more birds, which of course is quite difficult because since the bird flu epidemic, it has been illegal to import finches into the country. So the bird shops are dependent on the breeders, and with the recession that's hit recently, this past year they have they're pretty certain that a lot of the breeders have turned off the heating to save money in the winter, which is fine for the birds. They won't die of the cold particularly, but they will stop breeding across the winter months, which is bad because of course it takes 8 weeks for them from laying to being able to separate the children, and a lot of them say, you know, they've got breeders with hens sitting on eggs now. So we're a good 8 weeks, 7-8 weeks before these things arrive. So I don't really know what I'm going to do there. I have a friend who is giving me a table, hopefully next week, which will be fantastic, which comes with four chairs, and they all fold down and fit into the box, and the table, and it's probably a dining room table, but it's a leaf one, so it folds down and it will fit perfectly under my stairs. As you can see, I now have the internet as well. That was a bit of a to-do on the Friday before my birthday, because I'd arranged with Sky to get this done in time for my 30th birthday, because I've had 3 weeks off. And they sent out the usual engineer, and he did his stuff down here, and then he said to me, "I'm sorry," he said, "there's nothing I can do, you need an underground technician." And I said, "What?" And what basically happens is that Sky don't have their own lines like Virgin Media, so Sky rent out BT lines, so it's the BT OpenReach person who came to do this. So I said, "Well, do I phone Sky and get them to send somebody?" And he said, "No, don't talk to Sky, because if you talk to Sky, they'll send you out another overground technician, because usually they can do it. It's just connecting to a box outside, but because these are reasonably new houses, I don't have a box outside. In fact, my junction box is right down on Skipton Road, near the roundabout at New Park Hill. So I was a little bit depressed because I thought, well, we'll never get this done. But that very day, a couple of hours later, the underground technician turned up. He spent 2 hours, an hour working here, an hour working down at Skipton Road to get this all sorted out. And then after that was done, I had to phone the Sky to actually to make sure that it was all activated and stuff like that. By 9 o'clock I was ready and I had internet, and I was told that it was going to take 24 hours for the full services to kick in, and it was deathly slow when it first started, the internet. But by Monday, by today, it's gone back to its usual self. It's absolutely perfect. So I'm very, very pleased that I'm amazed that they've managed to do all that over a weekend. And the reason they did that, and the reason it was such a rush, was because it's been my 30th birthday. Now, my 30th birthday was celebrated reasonably quietly with the family. We usually do a meal or a buffet somewhere, and this year my sister Rosie hosted me in Wetherby for a buffet, which was absolutely fantastic. She'd done a lot, put a lot of work into it. She had like little pastry parcels with brie and onion chutney and stuff. Absolutely fantastic, and my gifts were amazing. The whole family clubbed together to buy me a large TV that can be flat screen, that can be put on the wall, because of course I plan to have movie nights here and stuff like that. So I mean, it's been absolutely fantastic. It really has been very good. The other extremely good thing to happen this week was the housewarming. On Wednesday I opened the house up to invited guests from work. Now 30 were invited, and about a third of them turned up, which was probably about right for the capacity here. And I think they all had a good evening. We had it from 6 till 8 here, and there were nibbles, and there was food, and there was drink, and there was, you know, all that sort of stuff. And I chose those people because they've given me a lot of support through the past 4 months and being able to sort of move here. So that's sort of why I chose them. Not everybody who was my friend, was invited. But don't worry, because I will be hosting meals here, so more on that later. But I'm quite an entertainer, and now I've got my own house that I'm not ashamed of. I shall be preparing to start a lot of entertainment here. So if you didn't get invited, you know, don't cry about it. You may well be invited to something else. In fact, everybody that I know from work was invited to my birthday drinks, which happened on the same night, right after the housewarming here. At 8 o'clock, we shut this place down and we went into town to Spoons. And next to nobody turned up for extra for that. There were a couple of people, and we were quite a good number by then. I think we were probably 10 or 15. So it was good, but that was open to anybody from work, and not very many people that hadn't been invited to the housewarming turned up for that. So, you know, no excuses really. So thank you for people who have given me my, you know, birthday cards or my housewarming cards or presents and stuff like that, and you can see other videos where they're up, and the memorial videos for the for Bonnie and for Mike will also be up very shortly. The only other thing that really was important this week was the issues that I've been having with my feet. As you probably know, a couple of weeks ago I stubbed my hammer toe, and what happens is my hammer toe curves over, so the nail sort of grows up at an angle, and I stubbed it, and it sort of basically sort of ripped the toe apart really. And I had to be on antibiotics to make sure that as it was healing, you know, it didn't go manky or whatever. That worked. That was fine. But the doctor, when they saw me, said you ought to see a podiatrist, particularly as you're now starting to walk to work and back, and it's 35 minutes each way. You're actually going to need help, basically, including inserts, which I will be talking to the podiatrist next time I see her. But this time was the start, and I saw her twice, and it's not cheap, but it was actually well worth it. And she basically sorted my feet out, things like sort of getting rid of dead skin and stuff like that. I know it sounds revolting, and she had this little sander thing which she could like sand your nails to, because of course the nails on my feet don't really look like nails. It's because of the way that the toes are, the hammer toes. They sort of grow into the ground. It's not an inward growing toenail. It's because the toes are. I'm walking on it's like walking on your tips rather than the soles, just because they're deformed basically, and not dreadfully, but they are a little bit. So she sorted it all out, and she says give it 12 weeks. She's given me cream, and she's given me, you know, to keep moisture in, and she recommends foot baths for 20 minutes each day and stuff like that, which I think my parents have one, which they might lend me. So I'm working on looking after my feet, because now I have to start walking, and you know, I'm not the smallest person in the world, so they take a lot of weight. But that's all ended up being really good. So.